Welcome again to the dOrg Hot Seat. Today we got a different kind of podcast, one that was recorded live during one of the panels at ETH Denver. The dOrg Hot Seat has always been about people jumping in and asking hard questions, and there's no better way to challenge the DeFi and CeFi ecosystems to explain themselves after a disastrous 2022 than letting the users, the participants at ETH Denver in this case, do the asking. Honestly, I like this panel a lot. People are tired of panels that are advertisement boards, of softball questions to promote oneself. And I gotta say, we got the best panelists. They held their ground, they knew what they were talking about, honestly a much better look for themselves and their projects than just repeating the marketing lines. And I love that the public got super involved, which opens the possibility for bringing more of you on board on the dOrg Hot Seat. More information on this to come in the next episodes. Taking the stage were Diana from BNB Chain, Matt from ConsenSys, Chris from ETHTrust, and Gleb from 1inch. What a panel. I hope you enjoy it.
Check. Mic check.
Mic check.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing? There we go. Good, good. Look alive. Fantastic. We are in day 672 of ETH Denver. This feels like an eternity. I really got to appreciate the fact that you guys are here, that you've made it today. I hope the parties have been great. And I hope that you're up for an excellent hot seat panel. So maybe I should introduce what the concept of the hot seat is about. So my name is Lanski, Pol Lanski, and I'm a member at dOrg. dOrg is a services DAO, basically a dev shop that is natively a DAO, the first DAO ever registered as an LLC. And we have an all-hands meeting where our members, mostly technical members, get to grill some of our guests in our, and we call that the dOrg Hot Seat. So the dOrg Hot Seat is definitely a place for spicy questions. This is not going to be a complacent panel. This is going to be a panel where they're looking at me like, no, actually, this is not really true. I'm actually very nice. But I'm hoping that you won't. I do have a reputation, and I want to do business with these guys at some point in my life. But if you don't, it is the time for you to ask the spicy questions. So I'm going to start with some questions that I'm going to ask to these people. And then I'm going to pass the mic to the public. And I'm hoping you guys will have very spicy questions. Does that sound good to you? Give me a yeah. Give me a louder yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so we've introduced myself and dOrg and how the panel is going to go. It's a good time for the speakers to introduce themselves. Maybe we can start from the opposite corner over there.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Gleb. I'm running marketing for 1inch. I'm the CMO of the project, and I've been with the project for more than 2 years. And obviously, I'm from the decentralized finance side. But we, as a project, we are in the battle for centralized exchange users, right? So, yeah, that's in short about me. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Chris Hughes, former CEO of ETHTrust, but chairman emeritus, I guess. I've been working at the intersection of traditional finance and crypto for the better part of the last 4.5 years, figuring out how the on-ramps for traditional finance, basically how do we make DAOs compliant? How do we make fractionalized securities? Like, how do we actually, participate with the larger finance community writ large? So, yeah, I've been working very hard on it, and it's slow, but it's happening.
Hey, everybody. I'm Matt Wright with ConsenSys. I lead a lot of our DAO initiatives. We're looking to build out tools and infrastructure for DAOs in the ecosystem. Been in Ethereum since 2017, and looking to explore decentralization in the ecosystem.
Hi, guys. My name is Diana. I'm the business development side of the BNB chain, the largest layer 1 out there. And I've been in crypto for the last 4 years and representing the DeFi side as well.
Excellent. Okay, we got a good mix. We got people from TradFi. We got people from DeFi. I think I think this is going to be an interesting panel.
Are
And my
those,
question,
are those MetaMask institutional socks? That's awesome.
nice. We got OGs, definitely. We got OGs on stage. So I want to start with a question. 2022. 2022 was the year of the grifter. The year where all of the centralized exchanges, not all of them, but all of the centralized players demonstrated the fact that trust, you don't have to trust, you have to verify, right? FTX, DCG, Gemini, BlockFi, 3 Hours Capital, Celsius. How can we ever trust any centralized service ever again? And I think this question would be for Chris.
Okay, let's be honest here. Okay, this is a real. It's been a tough. 2022 was terrible for all of us. 12 rounds of mean. But so the question becomes like, how do we trust the people in the centralized positions? I think it's less about figuring out how we trust them and have more of them. You know, this was systemic collapse of very large players. Okay, if there were hundreds of them, if there were thousands of them, if this were easier to do, there would be less collective risk in a fucking bag. Like,
are we talking about decentralizing centralized players?
Like, but wouldn't it be nice? Like, wouldn't it be nice? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like, so distributing the risk.
So I envision a world where custodial trusts will one day, like, if you're a fund, you shouldn't have all your money in FTX. Like, how many funds went completely bankrupt trading like fucking animals on FTX? How many of them like are completely mega wrecked? So let's think about this. And you kept your entire balance on one centralized exchange? Are you kidding me? Like, come on. So I envision a world where, you know, someone like players like Coinbase or maybe even Binance, or they're going to use more than one trust company. State Street, Prime Trust, someone else. Like, there'll probably be like ways to snark this across multiple central meat spaces. That's how I think it'll work.
Yeah, fantastic. Like, let's not bring all the blame though to the depositors who got sold certain assurances that maybe they didn't have in the end though. But so CeFi has had some problems in 2022. But honestly, there was more than $1 billion hacked in 2022 from the centralized protocols. So that's a lot of money as well.
Like, Jump Capital just did it last week, right? Like,
rehack. Like, it's
rehacked the hacker, right? Like,
hack the hacker, which is it's something that happened again. Like, but Diana, what do you think? What do you think the DeFi space or the decentralized chains, layer ones, whatever the protocols is, can offer some sort of security, some sort of assurance, some sort of to users? What can they do to protect the users?
Actually, a lot. I just want to mention that on the decentralized side, we recently launched the community-driven security monitoring of the smart contracts. It's called the Avenger DAO. It's a passive API, so anyone, before sending any transaction on chain, can scan, and you will see like a red alert, a green alert, yellow alert, and it's a sort of like, you can do your research kind of checking that before sending your funds in the DeFi. That's one thing. And for the security as well, as from the chain perspective, it makes sense to make sure you monitor the code and your code is up to date, and you partner with with the best players out there, because we all are here, don't trust, verify, self-custody kind of maxis. So from the DeFi perspective, the community-driven security could be, the answer for that.
Right. So Binance Smart Chain or Binance Chain or BNB Chain now, sorry. BNB Chain got hacked bad. Their bridge got hacked bad. And there was, so I would like to hear more about what happened when Binance Chain or BNB Chain just stopped and for a while.
I'm I just want to say that we are so grateful to the validators that we had, and to the security initiative actually, who managed to see that something is going wrong in the real time, and for everyone's super quick reaction. So that hack was basically stopped. I know we halted the network for a short period of time, and that was the only and the first time that ever happened. So, you know, we improved the security measures, and as I mentioned earlier, BNB chain is based on the Tendermint. So, you know, working on the code base, improving, and driving the community security initiative, that's important. And by the way, we reimbursed the funds to the users who got hacked.
That was the most interesting thing that happened, for sure, was that there was a bit of a bailout. But, you know, so I'm a nerd, and I know what happened, like deeply what happened. And like BNB chain or Binance Beacon chain wasn't the only one. Like Polygon had similar concerns that immediately after the hack, they too were in a position of potential compromise. So there was a proof signature that was able to get forged. I mean, this is the stuff that, like, really hard, not smooth brain math, right? Like very, very, very hard math. So we create these fraud proofs, or we create these, you know, deposit proofs, or we create these bridge proofs, and then this person was able to forge them. And then what was very interesting is that the Binance chain, or the BNB chain, had a bunch of like, kind of like I don't know, like circuit breakers maybe, for the want of a better word, like things that when value was moving too aggressively, too quickly, there was something that the validators could step in and intervene. Now that's a design question, right? Like more so than anything. Like, and undoubtedly humans are better off because they didn't get boned. You know, it started out at 500 million and it was only 70 by the time it was done. So, like, you know, through coordination in the industry, they were able to go to Tether, they were able to go to other folks, say, hey, these addresses that are attempting to bridge out and do nefarious things, like, don't do it. Like, and that's exactly what happened with Oasis Finance. Like, that is more preposterous to me. Okay, if we're talking about reality and shit and bullshit, that is more preposterous. Jump Capital fucking hacking Oasis Finance to go get that money back is garbage. Like, I can't even believe that's allowed. Like, and seriously, like, Jump Capital, the Chicago-based trading firm, like, sat there and racked up. Like, are you shitting me, bro? Like, how fucking degen is that?
So we were speaking about regulation. Should there be allowed to do something like that? Matt, what is the liability that they would have, or like how can both parties here, how guilty, or were they allowed to do something like that? What's your opinion on that?
That's not my area of expertise in what they're allowed to do. I'm not a securities lawyer or you know, work in institutional trading, but I think what I'm more interested in is seeing how DeFi protocols are leaning more on DAOs, and seeing how we can decentralize the decision-making process and the diversification of funds and risk. You know, de-risking by you know, mapping out more strong proposals that the community backs. What I don't think is appropriate is having institutions, or you know, regulatory agencies that are coming in and setting the rules on something that they have zero context on. I'd love these three-letter agencies to get a little more context, but I do want to see the DAOs that are managing these DeFi protocols, you know, allow us to feel more safe, putting more weight into the software infrastructure and smart contract layer, versus relying on humans, which we keep trying to do. We get lazy. We don't want to, you know, manage our own keys. We want to, you know, give that to a custodian, or you know, pass off the liability. But the reality is we need to lean more into the code, and we need to program that into these organizational decision-making processes.
Absolutely, yeah. Very hard to disagree with that. On the customer side, most people start on DeFi by swaps, doing something very, very simple. And 1inch is the platform that most people interact with in the first time. what is 1inch doing to protect the users from scam tokens, from attack vectors?
So that's a good one. So we have like a support team that we can unleash tokens. Yeah, we are always looking closely at what's happening out there. Also, we can delete tokens by request from authorities, right? Like, and also we're looking like not to have any toxic assets. Yeah, right. But like we are still a DeFi project, so anyone can input a custom token, like and trade it, like whatever. Like if there are pools, if there are liquidity pools out there with the tokens you want against the token you want to trade to, then yeah, it's all the risk on the end user. But that's like that's the difference between like CeFi and DeFi, like the amount of knowledge, the amount that you need to consume in order to feel yourself comfortable, like being like a day trader on a centralized exchange, right? If you just enter this space, or being a trader in the DeFi space is like, it's really different, right? So we expect users to educate themselves, and we help to educate those users about like where they are actually. It's like what are the risks. From the product side, we are like, I think that 1inch, like our smart contracts, they have the most audits out there in the DeFi industry. So like our like technical team is really love audits. Like we work like with a lot of audit. So like we invest in security a lot. So like making sure that the smart contracts, they are safe and secure to operate with. So and there are some like other cases, like for example, where there are like some like user got sandwiched badly, or like the transaction was not executed properly, right? Like in certain cases, we can refund users if they like got lost like some money, right? Like trading on a platform. But like in the most cases, like if the user made his own mistake, right? We can't help him, of course, like as a DeFi project. But like we expect him to learn for the next time.
Yeah, so kicking the responsibility down to the user is a lot of the times maybe the best we can do, because we are dealing with protocols that are decentralized and permissionless. So, and we probably want to keep them that way. We probably want to keep people able to add their tokens into a liquidity pool, even though what we get is a lot of liquidity pools full of shit tokens. And scams and rug pulls. But in terms of the regulation side,
like Uniswap didn't go down, you know.
Uniswap
like,
did not go down, exactly.
So that's the thing. It's like
I agree.
Yeah,
DeFi didn't go down.
1inch didn't go down.
DeFi
like,
didn't go down.
DeFi didn't go down. I mean, like price, okay, but like definitely the plumbing was there, and I think that that's one of the things that we can look and rely on and say that is an example to the regulators, like. To those that care to shit on this sort of stuff, it's like there was good work done there. Like there weren't, you know, and I would say as an industry we do not do a good job of self-advocacy. Like traditional finance has, you know, like lobbyists and we do too, but we don't do enough of it. And we clearly, like I can say this, but I talk to the like. Being a CeFi player in a crypto world is just not being liked by anyone. Like all the crypto degens are like narc, and then all the TradFi folks are like long hair hippie, and then the regulators are just like, fuck you, man, I don't even understand. And so in this space where you're just like, okay, now I choose this as a life and a job, like I hate myself, like it's really what you're saying. Like, probably more than the outside world does, and for that reason, I can go ahead and, you know, brave this awful shit show. But we need to interact more. We need to advocate more. We need to demonstrate our wins more. We need to self-promote. Like we promote well within our industry. We have great events. We throw fucking amazing parties. But like we really should probably be talking to regulators a bit more. You know?
Right. So
it's
regulation,
money, right? Like and with bad people out in the world. You know.
So regulation. The fact that CeFi is heavily regulated and DeFi is not regulated doesn't seem to have a correlation with people losing their money. What's a good approach? What's a good approach to who can protect them? Is proof of reserves for CeFi will protect anybody. Will they? Maybe the fact that because we have them on chain, the reserves are there. You can look at it, but projects get hacked all the time. And I know that this is very broad, but
Genesis can rehypothecate it even on balance sheet. So it's like you get these things where it's like, yeah, it's there, but it's also being lent to someone else in the meat space, and then you can't do that. So until we can get into like absolute like isolates that guarantee that there's no rehypothecation in the meat world, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, so but we need to. You said that we need to lobby more. We need to. What are we lobbying for? What? Anybody?
So what are we lobbying for? That's a great question. But
I had a. So answering the question about who can protect users, right? So I think that carefully built products that has this like in its core, like and if we're talking about DeFi ecosystems, yeah, they're right, they're complex. Like whereas like opposite to decentralized exchange, right? So centralized exchange, like everything's under its hood, like nobody knows what's happening there. And DeFi, on contrary, they're really complex stuff, you know, like right. So, like in order like to do leverage trade, you should know like how to like use like several protocols, right, and what to do with them, like and how not to screw up, like while doing all this stuff, right. But it also brings you a lot of opportunities out there. For example, like if you would go for like to a bank and say, hey, I would love to get a loan from you to like just to use this in a position like somewhere else, like, and if everything goes wrong, I'll just pay you like $1 of commission. Like if it just fails, like you know, the like everyone knows, like the guy would be like deemed like crazy, like no one would work like this for them. So I think, and there is also other thing about this one. So like CeFi and DeFi like in different space, because like why CeFi has been so regulated? Because there is no innovation happening there, actually. There is like a trade DeFi business right there. And if we're talking about DeFi, the whole innovation is happening there. You can't regulate something that don't exist yet. And like in each hackathon here, we see new use cases and new approaches to financial products that we have out there. So I think that once we need to think about building like secure products for end users, right? So we need to think of these products to rely on themselves, not to like on some other like entities out there, whether it's regulators, some other funds and stuff. So like I think that's the only thing. And so if we answer the question, what would we lobby for? It's for maybe like a clearer I would lobby for like the clear guidance of how to operate like a decentralized finance business, right? So here, because like there are so many unclear things in the whole space, and like regulatory about stuff. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I just want to add from decentralized perspective, regulation actually helps us all to bring 1 billion users on chain. Because imagine like people who are cautious about using DeFi protocols. Once we have more or less regulation in space, we open up a lot of opportunities for them. And I'm always, curious why everyone positions CeFi versus DeFi when we can, find a balance with the CDeFi, such as, for example, tokenizing the real-world assets, bonds, stocks, carbon credits, and having that efficiency, the operational efficiency, the capital efficiency. And I don't know if you guys heard the stories when a broker actually calls you like, oh my God, you will have a margin call soon. We could definitely make it way more efficient. So regulation is good, CeFi is good. We see the future in the tokenizing real-world assets and trading them on chain. So could be, something very interesting for our industry as well.
Yeah, I feel like we need to enable, whatever this regulation framework looks like, if it requires a new agency altogether, but we need to enable smart contracts to eat financial services in the financial world and capital markets. We need to protect developers so that they can freely have regulatory sandboxes to feel safe deploying tokens or governance structures. But if you have custodians or exchanges that are taking on this role of CeFi, and whether it's an on-ramp or off-ramp to the CeFi scenario, yeah, they have customers to protect, investors to protect. They have a fiduciary duty, and in that sense, I think we're building more and more context around CeFi and DeFi. But if we don't, work with those two together and push more towards the DeFi route, so that we rely more on smart contracts, we're never going to find a nice balance.
Excellent. So I think it's time to open it to the public. Anybody has any questions for our panelists? I'm going to go around and give you the mic. Any hands? Any hands? No questions? Here we go.
What about putting debt on chain? You can't lend out unless you have on-chain debt in any form or format.
So debt is awesome. I think, in fact, if there's going to be an interface to the meat world and the crypto world, it is going to be through seniorage and debt. Like, it's probably not through direct tokenization, but instead through just having a claim against the asset. I think that that's probably the way that this is going to express itself, and it's probably the way it makes the most sense to do it from a regulatory standpoint. Fuck, you can trade debt all day long. Like, all you degens can. But like, when I think about this, it's like there are still centralizing factors in our industry that keep me up at night. Like, if Gary Gensler calls up Circle and says these 15 maker vaults should just like suspend like all transfers, like that would cause a collateralization contagion on DAI that we could not fucking unwind. And like, that is bullshit. We need to do better than that. Like, we have centralized too hard to the point where we have a Byzantine generals problem. Like, that's bullshit. We're Ethereum, for fuck's sake. How did that happen? Anyhow, like, this level of stuff, like, it's because it was easy, guys, and that's how this works. We fucking need an easier stable peg against the dollar, so let's just go have a bunch of them in a New York bank at Goldman Sachs. And then we wonder, like, why we get a face punch by Wall Street, like, 2 years later. For fuck's sake, come on now. Well, we had it coming.
Very good questions. Any other?
I wonder, in your view, how do you implement the inheritance service in a DeFi? Inheritance service in a DeFi?
Maybe I can address that one. So actually, you probably heard about the EAP 4337, and there are a lot of smart wallets right now where you can have your self-custody in the smart wallet, and you can add actually a guardian. So your key will be split into multiple parts, and you can assign someone else to have a part of your key share. So in a very unfortunate event, if something happens to you, these people will have an access to the funds. The people that you trust, and the MPC and TSS technology actually enables that. And that's the beauty of the DeFi. We have like the best cryptographic proofs which can make that happen.
We don't need these custodians to manage these anymore, right? We have time for one more question, if it's a very quick one. One more question? One more question? Over there.
What's your opinion about protecting users on decentralized exchanges like Uniswap or 1inch using insurances? So, like you said, if the protocol fails, who can protect them? But like, if the users buy insurance, what's your thought on that?
Possibly I can answer this. So, if I got right, the question about insurance protocols that are there, like on top of DeFi. So, as I said, like it's about building the products right now, because like it's all fragmented in a way. So right now, as I think, like users, I know that several protocols out there, they're like researching this opportunities like of working with the insurance protocols. But me personally, have not seen any case so far that works in this case. So right now, I think it does not work.
All right, so we're out of time. Thank you very much, everybody. We've put these incredible panelists in the hot seat, and they look as cool as a breeze. A big round of applause for them. They know what they're talking about. And you can find them on the side if you want to ask more questions. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.